What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I'm one of your hosts, David Gussler, and no Matt Swift, as he is partying it up in, I don't know if it's Cozumel or Cancun or something, Mexico. I don't know.
Something Mexico.
He sent something very nice, and I was like, oh, you bastard. But that's okay. So he's not here this week. He'll be back next week for the Philadelphia episode. But we've got our occasional co-host, but producer extraordinaire, Corey Ensko, here with me tonight. Corey, how are you doing today, sir?
We are back? ? Can we say that this time?
We're sort of back.
The sort of back. No, I'm good. I'm doing well. Enjoyed some of that soccer on Saturday. Excited to talk about that. Excited to have a little bit of a break. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's been hot and heavy with the matches recently, so it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a break and a couple weeks here before we get back on the field. But no, doing pretty well.
Not only has it been hot and heavy for soccer, it's been hot and heavy for some really crappy soccer for Charlotte. So I think that's the flip side of it, is that if it was hot and heavy of us winning all these games, I'd be like, okay, I'll be worried about the break because of momentum. I'm like, okay, it's a nice time for a break because we have not been very good the past 2 months. So,
true, but at least we closed out right before the break. Like we have a good taste in our mouth right now. Like it's these 2 weeks we're not spending the whole time. I mean, there's definitely still some concerns, but we're not spending the whole time wallowing in how bad things are. When it's like, all right, that was pretty good, and then we had the Saturday before where I was like, all right, that was pretty good. So there's some reasons to be a little more hopeful than maybe we've been in past episodes, but yeah.
The cautiously optimistic in me is looking at this, and you could say we've won 2 out of 3 matches.
Mm-hmm.
We're trending in the right direction. So
let's not go farther back than that. Let's just look at the last 3. That's fine.
Just don't go further back. It's fine, and don't look at Open Cup either. So no, but it's good. So I mean, let's dig into this. We got a little bit to talk through on this recent match, and we got some fan Q&A from our Discord as well. But Charlotte traveled up to Canada A and played Toronto FC. I think this is the first time we've played them this year, correct?
I believe so. I'll double check, but I think so.
So the first time we played them this season, Charlotte versus Toronto has been ups and downs. We have not done well on the road in Toronto previously. I think last year when we played, Insigne had this wonderkin type goal that had like a 0.01 expected goal percentage kind of type situation. I know that I had to bring that back up for Swift's enjoyment. So, but yeah, we have not done well historically there, and we traveled up there needing desperately needing a win, basically heading on the road. But what was interesting, and I guess not to start off on this one, there's a lot of talk about potential starting 11 because we actually are starting to get some players back from injury this previous week. So Tim Ream was available coming back from his injury. Suleiman Doumbia was back from his injury the previous week. Now, granted, he didn't start and he came in as a super sub kind of moment, but he was back. You had Marshall Ruddy still here. You had Nick Scardina here. So the only really 2 or 3 players that's out now for Charlotte is Toklamati and Nathan Byrne, right? And, Nathan Byrne's going to be out for a while. Toklamati's coming back. I think they said by Philadelphia he could be available. So another week and a half, he could come back. But there's a lot of questions about what that back line would look like now that we've got Doumbia back, now that we've got Ream back. Do you start Privet and Malanda still? Do you start Tim Ream at left back? Who do you start at either Nick Scardini or Marshall Ruddy? And you kind of saw that come to life here with Dean Smith, where he started with the back line of, Marshall Ruddy in the Nathan Byrne spot, Malanda and Privet still at the center back. But then Doumbia got the start at left back, and Tim Ream was on the bench. So, and I thought it worked pretty well, to be honest with you, all things considered. So, I think on paper that could be what we could see moving forward. I know Swift was talking about not being very happy with Scardina over the past few weeks. I think Marshall Ruddy, while younger than Scardina, ironically has more MLS experience than Scardina at this point, even though he's younger. So maybe Dean liked that perspective here. But what did you think about Dean's selection of that back 4, and would you kind of move forward with that same one going into Philadelphia next week?
Yeah, I mean, so before the match in the Discord, we were talking about starting lineups, and this is kind of what and it wasn't I wasn't the only one. I believe maybe Eric Hill was the only one that threw it out there too. But I said that I kind of wanted to see this
Mm-hmm.
at least these two fullbacks, the center backs we can talk about separately. But like I kind now that Doumbia was healthy, and Matt, I believe we talked about this in the last episode that like Marshall Ruddy's more naturally on the right side. Like
Correct.
that's his natural side. We've been playing him a little bit out of position just out of necessity. But now that we have Doumbia back to play that left back spot, I was like, I kind of like to see what it looks like having Doumbia and Marshall Ruddy in their more natural positions. And then center backs, I was like, put Milanda back there, and then I can do a coin toss or Privet and Ream. I'd probably lean toward Privet, but I wouldn't have been mad to see Ream start at the center back. I know some people might have stronger opinions on that than I do, but like to me, it's kind of like whoever you want to in center back. I think Milanda and Privet's been the proven better pairing over time, but whatever. But I did just kind of want to see what does it look like when we actually put those fullbacks in their natural spot, and I think we saw it. Like I think it was the best we've looked. I mean, I want to say it was the best we've looked as a full team. One of the best performances of the season. I mean, that was a dominant performance that really could have been way more than 2-0. When you look at all the chances in the first half and all that. So it seems like something finally clicked. Everyone played pretty well, but especially seeing that back line look solid. I would continue rolling some version of this out. Again, if you need to swap out a center back here or there or however you want to do it. But I would keep this Doumbia, Ruddy, Milanda, Privet look going and for at least another match or two to see how it looks, because I felt like this is the most comfortable I felt looking at the defense in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how dominant it was. I mean, that was the best first half I think we've had, even though we did not score per se. Uh, that was our best first
Not
half.
for lack of trying.
Oh man! So I'm gonna come back to the goalkeeper stuff here. I'm gonna read off some stats here in the first half, just because we're talking about keeping the same lineup and everything like that. Charlotte had 12 shots in the first half alone. 0 shots from Toronto. 4 of our 12 were on target. We had 2 big chances. We had 53% possession compared to their 47% possession. And I know expected goals, people have yes or no feelings on that. We had an expected goal of 1.05 in the first half alone. So, if you look at that on paper, we should have been blowing them out of the water. I think we had more than 1 or 2 chances for sure in the first half alone. I mean, if you look at how many passes we had on their side of the field as well, we had 126 passes on their half of the field in the first half alone, compared to their 75. So, I mean, we definitely dominated what that looked like, especially in the first half of that lineup. And I would be okay with this back line maintaining this moving forward until Nathan Bird comes back. Have Tim Ream save some legs and energy, have him come in as a sub, experienced guy, still get minutes here and there depending on the matchup. You can have him start occasionally. Doumbia being healthy, I know he's shown flashes for us here and there. So, have him come in, and then Marshall Ruddy has a little bit more MLS experience. Nick Scardini, and lets Nick kind of continue to develop and grow as a depth piece and a sub piece for us, right? So, I was great with it. To be honest with you, when I was looking at that. But the big question mark that also came up that I don't think anyone saw coming, or I mean, it wasn't discussed in our Discord, wasn't anything like that. But David Bingham started over Christian Kahlina, and it wasn't because of an injury or anything like that. It was a healthy scratch. Kahlina was on the bench in Toronto there for that game, and I know the commentators were making comments like, "Hey, he's not had a great month, but he's also has not had many favors by the team to put him in situations here. But he's also had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, having the birth of a new child." I'm not a parent with a child, Corey, but I'm sure you could attest to this, that when you have a newborn baby, probably not sleeping very much, right? So, so I'm sure he's got a lot of things going on that's probably just draining and tiresome and weighing on him from that perspective. And then your performance isn't very good. Kind of probably made Dean kind of make that decision. But I want to get your thoughts on that first before I give mine. But what do you think about Dean's decision on starting Bingham over Kahlina? And do you think we move forward with that, or is it just a one game kind of thing?
The moving forward one, I'm not as sure about. So I won't talk about that first. I was surprised um, when I saw it because I just wasn't expecting that. But I do at the same time think it makes sense for all the reasons you just said. He has been playing well. It's been a lot of matches. He has a young family. Like that's a lot going on. And he, hasn't seemed fully himself in a few matches. And so I think if nothing else, it's like let's give him a rest. Let's give him an extended period here where we have the international break as well, and we don't play this weekend, and give him some time to come back and get his head right. But also maybe a little bit of a wake up call that yeah, you were the goalkeeper of the year last year, and we're not going to take away anything that Kahlina has done. And Kahlina has also made some incredible saves this year. He's had some really nice matches, but he's not playing up to kind of where you expect him to be. Like last year he was saving things that he had no business saving. Like I don't expect that to continue, but I feel like we've talked about this in the show. It's like there have been times now this season where you're seeing mistakes or seeing him not cover areas that he should be covering. And it's like, okay, that's a little different than just not making the superhuman stuff you were doing the year before. And to like at the same time, Bingham is an accomplished keeper in his own right. So it's not like I wasn't worried about the sub because I was like, well, we've seen how he can play. Bingham is a really strong goalkeeper. He's done a great job. So like, I didn't feel worried seeing him come into the lineup and play there. So I felt good about that. And I think he had an incredible match. Made some really nice saves. Like the one really big chance that Toronto had. Yeah, maybe he misplayed it in the beginning to give them that chance, but then he made a huge save, making himself really big to stop that one really clear cut chance that Toronto had, which could have totally changed the match. I mean, because at that point, I believe, if I remember going back correctly, it was only 1-0 at that point. They get that goal and even it up. And that's a totally different match. So anyway, just to say, I thought the defense played really well, but I thought Bingham played really well. It probably helped that he was helped by a good defensive performance. But yeah, really happy to see how he played. But yeah, going forward, I'm really curious what we do going forward. Because I think it's hard to imagine benching Kahlina for an extended period of time. I just don't see that. I kind of expect to see Kahlina come back against Philadelphia. But it might be a situation where if he doesn't perform well, we see Bing in the next match. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's some back and forth depending on kind of who's in form in the moment. So yeah, just a really interesting call. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's not like David Bingham's unfamiliar to starting. Like there was times where he started for San Jose the Quakes. Mm-hmm. He started for LA Galaxy for an extended period of time. Went to Portland, kind of was a backup there for a little bit, but then kind of took a starting spot towards the later half of his time there in Portland, and then joined us, right? And didn't really have to play at all last year because, I mean, why would he? We had goalkeeper of the year starting every game last year for Charlotte in terms of league play, and so it was nice for him to come in. Obviously, he's had some minutes already earlier this season with like Open Cup and a few other things, and he played pretty well in Open Cup and made some saves that kept us from being upset early 100%. On against NCFC, right? So I'm okay with the move. I don't think it would be an extended period of thing. I would hope not. I don't know. But like to me, it's like goalies or keepers are kind of like pitchers in baseball. There's a lot of mental thing to it. And if you sit on the bench for too long or it's, I guess, like a keeper or goalie in hockey too, like you get really streaky, right? And so what I would just worry is that if Kahlina sits on the bench for too long, like what's that going to do to the mental psyche of him potentially from that perspective? But I also kind of like the message it sends by Dean in regard, because we were all talking a few weeks ago, like, I know we were joking around with Swift about the Westwood conversation, but like we're like you've got to try something different. Like you can't you cannot afford to go like 6 for 8 games and lose 6 out of the 8, right? And expect to be comfortable, right? And so the message to me it kind of sends, it's like, hey, like I don't care who you are, you could be Zaha, you could be Kahlina, you could be Pep Biel. If you go an extended period of time where you're just not playing up to the standard that we want to be at, like, yeah, you could be benched for the next man up, right? And I think, I know we were kind of giving Dean a hard time about tinkering and giving some different moves here and there and starting lineups during this rough stretch. but at least he's doing that versus being hard headed and saying, well, no, this is my system, this is my players, this is what we're going to do, and we're just going to work through it. You got to try something different every once in a while to be able to work through it, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay with it. I would probably still expect Kahlina to be back by Philadelphia. If he's not, I would start to get a little concerned, basically, what the plan is. But it's just me.
But like one of those, like Bingham was one of those that we don't ever talk about, and like a lot of people might not realize the level of MLS experience he has. Because like we've had Kahlina, and Kahlina's been the guy like from basically day one. So like just how nice it is to have someone like that in that role, as available as a backup, or just to play an Open Cup or Leagues Cup matches and things like that too. It's not like he's some scrub coming off the bench. Like we got a quality backup keeper there that can come in and play really well for this team. Is a nice thing to have too. So yeah, I mean, I hope he, again, I think Kahlina needs to be the starter in the next match, and unless something's wrong with him or there's an injury or something like that. But assuming he's healthy, I expect Kahlina to be back there. But I want to give Bingham credit for, again, the way he's played when he's gotten the chance to or been called upon to do it. That was a big one. I should go back and say too, I went back and looked. I thought I was wrong. The big Toronto chance was when it was still 0-0. So it felt like we were dominating that match, but we almost went down 1-0 early in that second half. So again, thanks to a nice save by him, when Toronto kind of basically had a one-on-one with the keeper was huge. So yeah.
And that's the thing too with goalies too, is that like it's kind of like wine, they get better with age a little bit, right? So it's a little bit different. Like if you look on paper, you're like 30 to 35-year-olds on, like, if you're playing in the starting 11, sometimes you're like, they're getting kind of on, getting a little long on the tooth, right? But with keepers, it's a little bit different. Like Kahlina is what, 30, 31, something like that. Bingham's 35 now. I mean, Brad Guzan's still playing. I'm not saying I want Kahlina to be Brad Guzan, but Brad Guzan's still playing, and he's like 40 years old, right? You know what I mean? So
sure.
I feel like I've watched Brad Guzan go from an 18-year-old kid to 40-year-old, just, watching soccer my entire life. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, like him being 35, coming in, being experienced, it just helps him from that point of view, knowing what to expect, what to see. I thought he did pretty well, all things considered, especially against this game against Toronto. Now, it'll be interesting if he would start playing a team like a Philadelphia Union that's going to be a little bit more potent on the attack and better performance than Toronto. It'd be interesting. But he was the highest rated football player on the roster last week. I know Ashley Westwood, quote unquote, won man of the match, I think, but David Bingham won it on FootMob in terms of player ratings at an 8.2.
Yeah, no, so I'm very happy with the defense and the goalkeeper there. I mean, getting a clean sheet at this point is an accomplishment for this team that we've played this season. So
we've had so many last year. It just feels so foreign to us this year to have one. So I do have to just kind of chuckle a little bit because Toronto, on paper, should be a lot better than what they're doing. It's kind of like us in the regard in the month of May, but Toronto's been like this for a while. Like, you got Sean Johnson in goal. You've got Insigne like playing for them, and I do have to laugh that like at least we didn't get a DP like Lorenzo here that is the second highest paid player behind Messi in the league and produces one shot total for the entire game, and it's just been I think one of the worst signings that the league in terms of output versus paid has just been horrific, personally speaking. But that's I just have to chuckle. At least we're not doing that. So
just chuckling,
just chuckling.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto's an interesting one because like for several years now, with the signings and the talent they brought onto that team to be where they are, it's got to be incredibly frustrating.
Oh yeah,
that's tough because there's a ton of talent. I mean, there's an absolute wealth of talent on that team. I mean, we've struggled against them. I mean, it's not like we've kind of beat them a bunch of times. Like we've struggled against them, especially when we play in Toronto. But no,
they're definitely the definition of inconsistency. I mean, they got Insigne, they got Bernadeschi, they've got Johnson. I mean, they've got big name players and players who can contribute and make an impact, but they're just every year it feels like they just on the cusp of making the playoffs, and then they just go, no, just not going to do it this year, So, I mean,
Yeah.
and I say that as a Charlotte fan that's on the border of not making the playoffs halfway through the season, but at least again we're not.
We're trending the right way. Remember, we won
Correct, we
2 of the
are,
last 3.
but it
That's
could
the
be
way we're
worse.
framing this.
Could be Montreal or Toronto who has the combined points that we are at currently for the season. So
yeah,
it's pretty not great for them. But
yeah, we're good.
What about that second half though? So like that, if you look at the first half, we definitely. And sorry, Spencer's very excited to talk about the second half, as you guys can probably hear in the background. But that second half though seemed like we didn't have as much chances. Toronto seemed to play a little bit better, but we definitely had some goals there. And, if you look at the shots and the goals, Pep Biel scored at the 56th minute. I don't know if you remember this play or not, but it's kind of a nice little build-up play, and it kind of a nice cross there into the box. And Pep Biel again, who I think he's currently rated 4th or 5th in MLS All-Star voting right now for attacking mid.
Yeah,
he should be higher than that, but that's whatever. So
yeah, he deserves to be up there, probably higher.
Yeah, correct. But it finally broke that kind of like, oh man, like, I mean, if you look again at the second half, we had 6 more shots. I mean, we had 18, 20 shots in the game compared to 7 of Toronto's. We dominated this game overall, but it was nice to be able to finally get on the, on the score sheet there in that second half, not too long into it. Definitely helped kind of put a little bit of pressure off of Charlotte, I think, at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice too. And this is something I was going to mention because there were several of the big chances, and this one included. It was interesting to see the way we're playing with Zaha. One, I mean, I think we've finally unlocked something, or Zaha unlocked something with himself. I don't know. But like the Zaha of the past 3 or so matches is like
finally clicking,
an epiphany. Like it's just finally like, okay, it was there the whole time. We were just waiting for it. But he's had some more flexibility now with BL to kind of move internally a little bit. That's a weird way to say it. Move to the middle. I'll say move to the middle rather than move internally. But like in this play, so I got I'm looking off to the side because I'm looking at the highlights. Like he kind of moves to the middle here. BL is out wide on the left. But it's Zaha kind of playing that attacking midfield role, that 10 role to get the pass out to Abada. That unlocks him. Abada makes a great run, and then just BL just being in the perfect spot in the middle there. It was really nice to see. But again, a lot of those chances in the first half were similar types of build up. It was like we were building it up well, get a player out on the wings, people crashing into the box, putting good balls in. Like there was a lot of this coming together, and I think Zaha having a little bit more of that freedom to be able to kind of switch in and out, come in inside, whether it be Doumbia coming up on the left around him, and so that's when he moves to the middle. Like there's just been some more opportunities for Zaha to kind of be a little more free roaming, move to the middle, get himself in really good spots to be a playmaker. That was really nice to see. And again, Abada made a nice little soft pass right into the middle of the box for BL to put away. So again, just a really well worked goal. I mean, it was the same kind of thing they were doing in the first half. It was nice to finally see something actually hit the back of the net, though, after all those big chances that we didn't get early on.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm not to jump ahead too much, but like really both big chances started with Wilfried Zaha, right? Like you had Zaha create this chance with
wild.
that's I don't know. So like this moment you had Zaha go to Lilo Abada, and Lilo Abada obviously made something happen, nice cross inside, and then Pep was in the right spot, and then that second goal, even though it was like the 89th minute or something like that, or 90th minute, you had him. Again, I don't want to say free roaming because he was on the right-hand side of the field and just kind of created this lobbing pass that it just for Patrick to outmuscle. And then I guess Toronto guy kind of slipped a little bit. I don't even know what was Toronto guy doing there. It was a little interesting to kind of see. But like it created both chances for us. I mean, if you look at, again, stats from this game, Wilfried Zaha completed the most dribbles in this game, created the most chances in this game. He was also the most fouled player in this game. He won the most duels in this game. So like this is the Zaha that we all kind of, expected. And while on the stat sheet, he doesn't show up as getting an assist, I'm going to call it the hockey assist. He gets the assist to the assist in both of these was because of Zaha.
Yeah, no, he set up both. I'm telling you, we can go ahead and jump ahead to it because again, I got the highlights pulled up. Because like, if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't watched like the highlights or rewatched that goal in a minute, like go back and watch it. The second goal, because it just everything about that play just makes me laugh a little bit. Because like Zaha doesn't work all that hard to steal the ball initially. Like he's just standing in
Correct.
front of the guy and just like kicks his foot out, steals the pass, just like has kind of his back to where Patrick is and just hauls off and kicks the Jesus out of it to the middle of the field, not even really looking at where Patrick is. Just kind of launches up a prayer, just on a hop. Like doesn't take any time to control it. Just hits it on a hop. And Patrick, I don't know what happened to number 6 for Toronto, but you're right. He just kind of falls down. I mean, the whole thing is just it's gorgeous. If you haven't watched that a minute, go back and watch it because I loved every minute of that one. But yeah, I mean, he's Zaha one that starts with Zaha playing defense, which I think is huge. Like he's back there defending, playing out of position, but playing defensively when he needs to. When we were trying to hold on to a lead, and then he also very quickly turns that into an attack. I mean, it was a bit of a prayer of a ball, but hey, that's what Patrick can do. Also, he's the kind of player who's so fast and so strong. Like put the ball out there for him and see if he can beat a guy because he's shown us that he can do that. So yeah, it was really nice. Again, well deserved for the team. But I really think now that we're seeing Zaha play to the level that he has been, it's really, I mean, the offense is, or the attack has definitely been playing better this season. But I think we've really unlocked something here with that. And I also want to shout out Abada because we've had our record. I've been on record being pretty hard on Abada in some places. And for the life of him, he couldn't get a goal in this match. Like there's so many, I feel like there's so many parts of the match where Abada's got his head in his hands because he had a chance and didn't get it. Some worse than others. But he has, I think, really played well recently. Whether or not he's scoring goals, he's creating problems for opposing defenses. He's making good runs. He's getting in good space. He's making nice passes. Like he's really causing a problem. So they can't, when we're playing an opposing team, like they can't focus just on Zaha. They can't focus just on BL. You can't just hack a Patrick or anything like that. Like you've got 4 players there that are dangerous and they're starting to work really well together. And again, the goal scoring has been there, but like beyond even the goal scoring, I'm looking at the chances created. And we're just creating so many big chances over the past few matches that it's been impressive to kind of see this all start to gel together.
Well, I'll share this because I will give kudos to Lila Bada here because it was we gave him some crap earlier in the season. It's okay, but if you look at this is all time goal scorers for Charlotte FC. Karol Swiderski is obviously number 1. 32 goals in 85 matches. Patrick's catching up there a little bit. Still got some goals to catch up to, but he's second in all time with 22 goals, 72 competitions. Then you get this like little neck and neck here where Vargas is 14 goals in 107 matches. So obviously not as high as a clip rate and goals per match. But look at Abada here. 45 games, 13 goals. So if you do this by goals per match, like Daniel Rios is going to be obviously always going to be very high because he had
4 of those in one match.
In one game, right? But like it goes Karol, Patrick, and Abada in terms of goals per match, right? So I mean he's almost as good as Karol and Patrick in less time. So kudos to him on that front because like. And we've always said it. He's had flashes. He's had potential. There was times last year where he scored like 7 or 8 goals in a stretch, and then it just kind of goes this hot and cold stretch. And I want Abada to be consistent. If he can do that, I think that's where he becomes another tier level of player in MLS because it just needs to be consistent. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's always been the knock is the consistency, and that's when I'm looking at like you're paying a guy DP numbers. I think what you're paying for is consistency. You need somebody who's going to come in, game in, game out. Once they get established, you know what you're going to get from them. And that's what we haven't had with Abada. Like he's had stretches where you're like, oh man, this guy's good. And then you're like, where's Abada? You'll go 5 or 6 matches and he'll have no impact on a match. So again, we're in the middle of a really good stretch for him. He's playing really well, not just when he's getting goals and assists, but just like the way he's helping build up the attack. Again, if you watch back some of these these big chances we created, he's right there in them. So that's been good to see. I hope it continues because that's what I start to wonder about. It's like, not that I want to get rid of Abada, because I think Abada's a valuable player, but like, is he a DP? That's what I keep coming back to. Like, I'm still not sold. I want to be sold because I really like him, and we talked about this at the beginning of the season. He's the guy I wanted to really come through this year. But I think to justify kind of that DP designation we have on him, we need to see this be the norm more than kind of the exception or the little hot streak he has. So, but no, definitely want to give him credit where it's due because he's been really solid for a good stretch of games now. Even when Vargas got the start a few times, Abada came off the bench and had an impact. Like, he's consistently made an impact on matches that he's been in the past few. And I actually want to see that continue. And then it's nice to have the option of Vargas off the bench or Vargas starting and Abada off the bench. Like that wing spot has become a pretty healthy spot for this squad, and that's nice to see to have some options there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just dreaming of our top 10 goal scorers here. I'm just looking at this. I don't want to say it's interesting how top heavy we are in goal scoring. It's basically Carroll, Patrick, and then it falls off pretty quickly. From a goal scoring perspective, but Ashley Westwood's number 10, Brant Bronico's number 11, and Wilfred Zaha's number 12. Zaha's been here for half a season. He's already about to crack the top 10 in goal scoring for us, if that tells you anything about our offensive production pre-Carroll.
Yeah. It's interesting because people, I saw this kind of going around in different places, people talking about this list and what it means and what it doesn't. Like when you see people like, I think Rio's being as high as he is, I think so throws people off.
Yeah.
So I get that. I put this in Discord, but the thing that'll always make me chuckle is that Ben Bender and Competi are tied. That just brings me a level of joy that I can't explain. But I think
yeah.
I think it speaks to a couple of things. Obviously, it's a young team.
Sure.
So that this is going to look weird for a little while. Also, none of those players were with the squad all 4 years, or like the entire run, right? So like you've got kind of that's the thing. It's like this person was here a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. And I also think the one thing we've, when you look at kind of some of the top scorers, it's like I feel like we've not really had that dominant striker that we've always been looking for, right? I mean, Swiderski was close, Patrick's close, but I feel like it's almost a more even distribution of goals, which is why I've got some random people in that top 10, is because no one is, there's not like one or two or a handful of strikers that are running away with all the goals. It's pretty spread out outside of really Swiderski and Patrick. So I don't know. It's just interesting to look at that list, but I don't think it says anything negative about our ability to score goals or, the fact that Rios is still up there means we are terrible or anything like that. I'm not reading too much into it. It's more just kind of a quirky thing about this is the 4th year of the club and we haven't had a consistent, striker or attack in those 4 years. It kind of keeps getting mixed up. Players come in and out, and now this is probably going to look weird until we grow a little older.
So anything else that you want to touch on from the Toronto match? Because I've got some, I don't want to say like rumor mill stuff I want to talk to you about, and then we can go to Q&A. But anything else you have your thoughts on from Toronto?
No, I mean, again, I was just happy to see us play well. We talked about last week that we need to get some of these wins on the road to make up for some of the bad home losses in this stretch of 5 away. We pointed to Toronto being one of those that was like, this is a winnable one. And we got that, and we played well. It wasn't fluky. It wasn't, something goofy where we, got a late kind of random goal to steal a win. Like, we came out and dominated, got a big road win. So now I just feel good about that. Get a little bit of a break here. I know it's going to be wonky with international stuff happening over the next month, since we just heard that Reem and Ajiman are going to be called up to the Gold Cup. Or at least we're selected to that roster as it stands now. So we'll likely have to do some fun lineup things, especially with Patrick being away for some of this stretch. But no, I just feel good about where we're at, and hope we can continue this run to steal some more points on this road trip.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling here, but yes, Gold Cup is going to be a little bit of an interesting stretch for us. We just talked about how healthy we were, and finally getting players back, and then it's like, just kidding. Patrick and Reem could be out for a little bit, and then you've got Tualuma who could be out as well for some international duty, and then you have Abada that could be out with some international duty. So thank God we have this like off week to kind of help with that space, and hopefully everyone's back in time. But
yeah, we might see some interesting lineup pieces there. But again, I think that's okay. Like I'm not terribly worried. Obviously, those are losses that we don't,
Yeah,
I'd like to see the Patrick, Zaha, BL, Abada lineup out there every single time. We're not going to have that if these guys go play internationally. But again, it's more just the way the team's playing. I think this will build some confidence with this win. I think they built some confidence in the home win before that. So I think we'll be all right. But I just want to see this run continue.
So, and we might have a special friend of the show next week help preview some Philly talk. So,
yeah, definitely
be interesting conversation there. So, I wanted to pull up this. I'm not going to make this into a rumor show, but I kind of like this a little bit just because it sparks a conversation. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Patrick leaving potentially because of international duty and things like this, but I'm going to pull this up. So again, apologies for what this wonderful rumor could be or could not be. So for those laughing, I pulled up the picture here. So Transfer News Live, which has a source of somebody that I've never heard of. I can't even pronounce that. How do you think you say that, Corey?
I think it's a soft J. Fichajes?
Yeah, who knows? Anyways, so again, that makes me feel really warm.
It's probably not Spanish. I bet I try to do it in a Spanish way, but I bet it's something different. Anyway, go ahead.
So it says Leeds United, New York Red Bulls, Charlotte, Valencia, and I can't pronounce that last one. Thank you. Are all interested in signing Jamie Vardy on a free transfer. So I wanted to pull this up and just talk hypotheticals with you for just a second. So. So not to put you on the spot here, buddy. Sorry. But we put this in Discord. I asked people for their thoughts and just kind of feeling here. And, a couple of things here. Jamie Vardy is definitely a very well-known big name player. Yeah. 38 years old. So the same age as
38.
He's 38 years old.
I don't think I realized he was that old. Okay.
He is the same age as our very own Tim Ream. So, got a lot of miles on his legs there for a little bit. And you're making me question if he actually was 30.
No, I mean, that might sound
he's
right.
38. He's a year older than me. So yeah, he's 38 years
older than I knew he was on obviously a veteran kind of on the back end of his career, but I don't think I realized he was 38.
He played for Leicester for 440 matches. If that put that in perspective.
You're going to say years. They were there for
440 years ago. No, I was playing. So, but no, he obviously has some miles on his legs. 38-year-old, kind of a striker kind of player for his team, right? But has some connections there. Dean coached Leicester for a very, very short window. You've got Christian Fuchs, who is still an assistant with us on this team, who played with Jamie there. And I mean, what's your thoughts on a player like that? Because he's on a free transfer, so it would not be on a loan. Yep. It would have to be come to terms. Here's your salary. We do have quote unquote an open DP spot, but a lot of people, and me included, are going to assume that's going to go to Pep BL come August. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's what I would like to see. Yeah.
So you don't really have an open DP spot, and we don't have any DPs that you could quote unquote buy down to be a TAM level player. So like Lil Bada's salary and transfer fee. I mean, we paid $6 million for this guy plus his salary. You're not buying him down. Wilfred Zaha's on a loan. You can't buy that down anymore. And then you've got Pep BL, who's assumed to be taking that DP spot. So Jamie would have to come in as a TAM level player, I would assume. There's no way he's going to be like, yeah, I'll come in for MLS, vet minimum, $76,000 a year. So what's your thoughts on adding a player like that that's obviously got experience, has played at the highest level, has won at the highest level, but obviously has a lot of miles in his legs And do you spend that kind of money on someone that is not a quote unquote guarantee to be successful in MLS?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, my initial reaction is I wouldn't mind seeing him come to Charlotte. I like Jamie Vardy. I think it'd be fun to have him in Charlotte.
It'd be a really fun shithouse kind of player to kind of talk
he'd be a blast to watch. But with the conditions, like and stuff you've already mentioned, like obviously he shouldn't come in on a DP deal. Like I don't want to pay him DP level stuff. And then it kind of becomes, how much do we have flexible to pay him with? Can we
do a messy deal where we do like some back channel sponsorships with, Jamie getting, deals from Quill Hollow and Bojangles and,
Jamie already doing a Bojangles commercial is something I would pay a lot of money to see.
I would do that as well. That him and Zaha trying Bojangles would be amazing.
Just a full-on commercial with them. So I guess I don't know. Would I mind seeing it? No, I would, but I don't see him coming in and being like an everyday starter. Like that's not with the way the team's set up right now. I don't know if that's smart to bring in a 38-year-old player to be your everyday starter. So like if he's willing to be, more of a kind of not a depth piece, but, starting every now and then kind of part of a rotation. I don't know if he wants to do that. Like that's where I kind of get hung up. I'd be worried about bringing him in to be like, oh, he's going to be our everyday starter.
So how about this hypothetical? With the rumors of Patrick being sold or being talked about during summertime. So say late July, because that's when the window opens up. Pat gets sold. Would you bring in Jimmy Vardy to be kind of like this holdover piece for the rest of the year with the Toklamati, and they kind of start based off of different situations with Pat being sold?
Yeah, that's one of the conditions I'd be okay with it on. Because then he's more of a transition piece is a good way to put it. Yeah, he's like, all right, well, we're losing Patrick. We don't have anybody kind of lined up to be that next, young kind of growing striker on the team. So let's bring in someone like Jamie Vardy to kind of
it gives you time to figure out what you really want to do long term at that 9 position potentially after the season.
In that situation, I'm okay with it. I was initially answering from the assumption that we keep Patrick. If we keep Patrick, I don't want to bring in Vardy and have him start over Patrick. I think that's silly. So it's a very different equation if we are losing Patrick, but I would really hope they, I don't know. I don't want Patrick to go anywhere.
I just want Jimmy Vardy to just deal with the MLS refs is what I want him to do and just see what
that'd be beautiful. But no, I mean, I think it's always good. I think two things, like the name recognition is always nice, but someone who has that kind of experience, I think is always good. As long as he works well with the locker room, I think it's good for these young players, especially to have those experienced people who've played in England, played in Europe, coming into the team and kind of setting the tone of how we do things. I think Ashley Westwood's been a huge part of that in the locker room. I think Fuchs was his first season and as a coach as well too. I think you want those people who come in with that experience to help shepherd younger players along. But again, I think it has to be the right situation, and it depends a lot on what happens with Ajiman and all that there. And again, what kind of contract we can get him on. I think that's a big thing too, is I don't want to get stuck paying a bunch of money for a player.
40-year-old Jamie Vardy.
That worries me a little bit. So we got to be if we do it, I hope we're very smart with the contract, but also I think it's more situational about what the need is.
And I'm looking this up again here in just a second. I think he would be 39 by the end of the season. In terms of, so come January, he would be 39 years old. Yeah. So like you don't go all out for a player like that long term. But cool. That was one hypothetical, and then I want to bring up another question. Sorry to put you on the spot. This is out of left field a little bit, but there's also news in MLS, and I guess this is more MLS news, but I'm going to link it to Charlotte a little bit here. Chicago Fire announced yesterday that they are going to have a soccer-specific stadium built in Chicago, right near Soldier Field. So dedicated space. There's nothing there now, which is crazy to think that a city like the size of Chicago has just
a
space.
lot,
just a lot
sitting around,
just hanging out. But it was interesting because it's being privately funded by the owner of Chicago, as the Chicago Fire. So privately funded soccer specific stadium. So I'm going to link it to Charlotte just in this a little bit. I'm not going to make this a bash Tepper or anything like that. So I'm going to just, do you have a preference? Because I know you've been to both football stadiums that are used for MLS or soccer specific stadiums. Which one do you prefer? And which one would you prefer to see Charlotte in, just as a fan that you've been in both?
I mean, I think if I had just starting from a totally clean slate, I mean, I think a soccer specific stadium is nice if done well, because I feel like some of them feel minor league.
Like St. Louis, their soccer specific stadium feels like it's just a shell, like it's nothing
Yeah,
special.
I know, and I really don't mean this as a knock, because like they're good situations and there are a lot of benefits to being in a soccer specific stadium. So I like the idea of that, but just some of the ones I've been to, it feels like you're walking into a minor league park. And so I think there's ways to do it right where it feels professional and feels like a really good venue. And I think there are probably some places that have done it that way, but I feel like the ones that I've been to have felt more like almost like temporary stadiums that got plopped down to serve this need.
Have you gone to Toronto or Montreal? I can't remember. I think you went to one
I've
of
been
their
to Montreal.
stadiums. Was their stadium nice or no? Because I think they have on the larger side of soccer specific stadiums in Canada.
I mean, it was what? I think it was like 19. I think it's what it is.
Okay. Maybe it's Toronto that has the bigger one, or
I haven't
Vancouver.
been to Toronto, so they might have a bigger one. And the Montreal one was nice. I mean, from a fan experience perspective, it's nice because you can go stand beside the field at the beginning of the match. And so I stood beside the bench while they did warm-ups, and you get really down close to the players, and that's cool. It's, a fairly small stadium, so there's no bad seat. I mean, you're going to get great sight lines regardless. They do a good job with some like the fan activations, like in the concourse and stuff like that. But again, it feels very small. Like it just does. So I don't know. Like there's trade-offs. Like it feels like when you're walking into Bank of America Stadium, like this is Bank of America Stadium. This is a big stadium. It's nice. But then at the same time, it's 30,000 people in a 70,000 seat stadium can feel weird sometimes. Sometimes when it's a good crowd and has the right energy, it gets loud in there and it's a lot of fun. And I love being able to fit that many people in a stadium, regardless, because if we had one of these smaller, 20,000 seat soccer specific stadiums, I mean, there's a lot of people who currently are going to soccer matches who would struggle to find tickets. And I think that kind of stinks. So I like having the ability to put in that many people, but I think my like perfect world would be like a large soccer specific stadium. Like give me like a 25, 30,000 seat, solid established feeling soccer stadium. That would be kind of where my preference is.
So Toronto has the larger of the three Canadian stadiums.
Toronto.
31,000. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth highest capacity stadium in MLS. Yeah. Only behind Snapdragon, which is in San Diego. They're at 35. Then you have the NFL stadiums, Lumen, Seattle, Charlotte, and then Atlanta, that obviously can fit more. But yeah, I'm kind of torn because I get both sides of the argument for it, but I'm always going to lean it. Make a 40,000 person soccer specific stadium, or 45. Make it 50. Why not? But I just, I know it's, I say that, and then Charlotte still sits here and struggles to fill up 30,000. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. It's nice to have the flexibility when you have these big games, but also you're not going to get 45,000 people on July 25th against, San Jose Earthquakes in Charlotte. You know what I mean? Like that's just not going to happen.
But I think what I come back to is, I mean, given the situation, I like that we play in Bank of America Stadium. Just because I think there's a whole conversation we had about, spending money on stadiums and all that kind of stuff too. So it's like, we have a perfectly good stadium that's not being used in the summer other than for concerts, which I know it's being used a little more heavily this year than it has in the past. So we'll see how that works out in future years. But in general, it's a huge it's a huge stadium in the middle of town that is basically sitting empty for a large stretch of the year.
Sure.
I like using that rather than building a whole nother thing somewhere else. I think in my absolutely perfect world, it would have been renovate, Memorial Stadium to be, I don't even know if this is like structurally possible. I'm not not an
That was
engineer
part of
or
the
anything
original
like that.
pitch
But the
from
original
that.
MLS
Yeah.
pitch, like the pre-Tepper pitch, was to rebuild Memorial Stadium and do it that way. I think that'd be my perfect. It's a stadium that already exists. It's right near Uptown. Build that up to where it can hold 20, 30,000, somewhere in that range. And you've got a really cool stadium with that view of Uptown and all that. And that would be my perfect world solution. Obviously, that's not what happened. You got the Independence and the Ascent playing there, which is great. So that's good for them to be playing there too.
I think the
But
Independents left. I think honestly, I think went back to Matthews. That's a side note conversation, but
did they?
I think so. I'm pretty sure they did, or they announced it to be. But
okay, interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a different conversation, different show.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I mean, because I don't know if they came out and said we're going to build a soccer stadium in Charlotte for the team to play in, I'd be a little torn.
Build it in South Carolina, cowards. Do it.
One, that would make me mad. I'll just say it like this. I'd be very torn if they did it. Like, part of me would be like, cool, this would be a fun fan experience if they do it well.
Sure.
But it's like, do we really need another stadium?
I get it. Yeah. I get that. I do get that, honestly. Even just because here's the other flip side of it too. Tepper's not going to build it out of the kindness of his heart. He's going to get the city to pay for it, and do we really want more taxpayers to do that? So that's a different conversation. So, but anyways,
yeah. And if the team weren't owned by the Panthers, it'd also be a different conversation too. Because that's where the team doesn't want to have to, have their home field be controlled by someone else, right? Like I could see that desire, like, hey, we want to get out of the Panthers' backyard and we're our own ownership group. We're going to go build our own stadium. That's a different conversation too. But since it's owned by Tepper, it's the same organization as the Panthers. Like, they already own a stadium. Let's use a stadium that's already there. And again, continue to do things I hope that help the soccer fan experience there. That's definitely a whole other podcast. But I think if you do some of those, that's helpful. And then, we're not spending more money because, it would absolutely be public money. It wouldn't be just like Tepper would open up his wallet and build a stadium for us. It would be the city pitches in however many hundreds of millions of dollars to help build it. And that's tough.
That's the reality. But that's okay. Sorry to put those two impromptu questions for you.
No, you're good.
I figured that would be a good segue to the fan Q&A. So we've got some good questions from Discord. So what do we got here, Corey?
Let's dive into it. All right. I have not read these ahead of time, so
that's okay.
We'll just see.
We're doing it live.
How this goes. I'm going to go with this one from Jay first. It's a longer one, but it's kind of a lot of background. So he's talking about the different styles of our front four attacking players, which we talked about a little bit earlier. You've got Zaha, who he says is dynamic, has bursts of speed, technically sound, danger man to all defenses. That's a great title. Abada is direct, speedy, likes to go at goal, has poaching instincts. BL is the master of puppets. This was written somewhere around the Metallica show. Was it after the Metallica show?
It was after the Metallica show,
Because he said, see what I did there. Vision of a Hawk, finally the number 10 we've dreamed of. Agreed. Pat, you've got the dynamic, huge body, quick feet for a big guy, loves open space, loves even more to fake defenders to the left, cut back and shoot with his right foot around the keeper to the far post. He does do that a lot. In this game, talking about Toronto, really showed all of that off. And each player rotates positionally a bit throughout the match, which we talked about too. So the question, which of those four is your favorite part of the attack? I'll just start with that. It's kind of a three-part question. So I'll start with, is there a certain player you like watching the most out of the attack?
BL. Because it's just like he has the ability to score. He has the ability to assist. He's also just very technically sound and just very skillful. And I just like the Metallica pun there, Jay. So he's a master of puppets. So, he's controlling everything around him. So yeah, I think that's where I would go there for that one.
I was torn. I almost said Zaha, and right before I started talking here, I think I'm going to change it to Pat. I was going to say Zaha the way he's playing now. Again, the last 3 matches, I'm like, that is fun to watch. But I think long term, I've loved watching Pat when Pat's on, and when he can make those runs and just be sneaky fast and just completely flummox defenders when he's sprinting down after a long ball. I don't know, just the way, as quick as he is, and the way he can play as a big striker is really fun to watch. So I think I have to pick him on that one. So the second part of the question would be, how do you like the way these different styles play together, and how do you feel now that it seems to be clicking?
I think we've all said that the offense is upgraded this year, and
Yeah.
they've scored goals. I mean, has there been some rougher games here and there? Yes, but like scoring goals hasn't been really our issue this year. It's been the defense, ironically. So I think if we had last year's defensive play with this year's offensive play and attack, we would be easily top 3 or 4 in the table right now, for sure. So yeah. It's great. It's clicking. This is what I've wanted to see all year. So let's keep this game going.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like the attack was playing well, and we even talked about this early in the season when we had kind of that hot start. The attack was playing well, but it was absolutely not playing to its potential. Like, we were not getting the most out of the attack in some of those early matches, and we were still winning and still getting the points. But now we're finally seeing when it does start to come together, when it does start to play to its potential. And so I think, it's MLS is a long season, and this is a hell of a time for it to start clicking. And I just, again, we'll see how it continues, but I feel good about where they're at now. And again, kind of one of the things that Jay mentioned, we talked about earlier, is their ability to kind of shift in and out of positions. They kind of can play dynamically around each other. If Zaha wants to move inside and Biel goes out, or any of those types of things, you kind of have Zaha and Pat kind of playing as dual strikers sometimes, or then you got Zaha kind of playing that 10 role sometimes. I don't know, it's fun to see them play together, get comfortable with each other, kind of understand how each other wants to run and where they want the ball. I think that's a real bright spot for the future of the team.
For sure.
From Max, do you see this win as a potential launching point to a good second half of the season?
God, I hope so. I mean,
that is the correct answer.
I mean, I really, really, really hope so. Can we have a month that cancels out the month of May? Can we have a month where we just win like 6 out of 8 games and just get like 18 points and just go on a run? Like, that'll be fantastic, please. Keep doing that, please.
I mean, who knows what happens in this this stretch of away matches. I feel really good. I mean, obviously there's a couple of hard matches in here, but like there's some chance for points. But I'm looking ahead to July. I'm wanting July to be our pedal to the metal month, where you've got, 5 out of 6 matches at home, something like that. I think the only away one's at Atlanta, which is a place we have historically enjoyed playing. Mm-hmm. So that's the month where I'm like, this is where we get it all back. And so I'm hoping that this springboards again. I think the win against Toronto came at the right time, when you get a week off, or a weekend off, really like 2 weeks off between matches, before prepping for Philadelphia. Again, it's going to be a hard road stretch. Like, we're probably going to lose some. We'll see how many, but we're going to lose some. But I think this is a good time to get a good win, get some rest, get your head right, and come back into the second half of the season strong. All right, let me pull up the next one. I like this one from Philip, and I don't have an answer for it yet. I've been thinking about it, and I keep not coming up.
I've got an answer for it. I got you. Yeah.
Excluding DPs, who is one past player you would like on this squad?
Sergio Ruiz. So only reason I say that is that I do not think we ever saw the full potential or ability of a Sergio in MLS. I don't think he was set up in the best case scenario. He had a coach that, well documented, just was not great. Yeah. He was homesick, had a newborn baby, had to take a mental break from his previous team before coming to us. I've always liked Sergio. He's always been friendly to the show. He still DMs me every once in a while on Instagram back and forth, which I think is awesome. That's
amazing.
I'll just comment like, "Hey, congrats, buddy. Like, hope you're doing well." Like whenever he shares things on Instagram, and he replies back and is like, "Hey, hope Charlotte's well." Just things like that, which is crazy to me that someone's doing that 3 years later. But I mean, if you look at what he's done. I mean, he's played consistently in La Liga. I mean, he starts, he plays, he gets assists occasionally. You know what I mean? I think I don't want to say this because I think Brandt's done really, really well and has developed and done a good job at that 8-6 whatever player position there. But I think Sergio would have been a good complement to Brandt. Probably what the team was trying to get out of Williamson there a little bit earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
I would have rather had Sergio be able to come in and say, hey, I'm going to spell Brandt here, or hey, I can come in and Brandt push up to spell, BL, that I can come in and help support that. I mean, like, how great would that be with Sergio there with Westwood and Brandt and BL and all this stuff? I don't know. It's a non-DP player that I wish that we could have back, personally speaking. So,
yeah, that's a really good one. I'm still struggling with this question. I was going to say TT Ortiz just to mess with y'all, but I decided to. I couldn't even do it with a straight face.
I'm sure Swift is in Mexico right now saying, damn you, Corey.
I know. I know I could do it because he wasn't here. I also know he would probably be yelling Urinen a lot because...
Oh, that's true. That's right. He's not a DP, but yeah.
That's a very recent one that, in retrospect, it'd be really nice to have a left back that could fill in with some of these injuries and rough schedule. So he's another one.
That's a good answer.
I did joke when we played... it wasn't Nashville. Where does he play for now? Derek Jones. Where is he now?
Columbus.
Totally drew a blank. Yes, at Columbus. He was during that match. He was warming up like right in front of where we sit, and so we were sitting in the stands joking that can we just do a real quick swap? Like we'll give you like Gianni or whichever one you want. Like just give us back Derek Jones. We'll be fine. Because I always liked having Derek Jones in the middle. Like he wasn't like he was going to be a huge, playmaker or do anything crazy, but it was just so fun watching him on the ball. Like he was the most like calm, confident person on the ball, kind of to settle things down in the midfield. I don't know if that's my answer to this, but he was just one I saw. I was like, yeah, wouldn't mind having him back. I like some Derek Jones. I don't know.
Those are all really good. It's a good question, Philip.
This is a really good question. I'm sure we're going to think of some more. I really like Sergio Ruiz is a great answer because he is absolutely one that
I just don't think he got a
I
fair
really
shake
hate
here.
how that worked out for him. There's a lot of, like you said, a lot of factors for that. I feel like we never really got to see what he could be, and to be the first signing.
I was
to be the first signing and it ends like that is like, that's not what you want to see. But
I mean, he's still just like 30 years old, 29 years old too. Like he could have been here for a while. So it just, it stinks. Yeah. But oh well.
Oh well. All right. I gotta stop moving away from the window. Now I can't find where my questions are.
I've got it pulled up if you need it.
I'm good. I got it. All right. From Michael, we have what can the club, Tepper, and /City do to help get these side deals that help bring in big names like in Miami, New York City, LA? This isn't a 2025 question, but we need to start laying the groundwork for the future stars. Is it going to take winning it all before that is even a consideration?
I don't know if it would be winning it all would be the consideration. I just think money talks. I think that's just what it comes down to, especially since we're not a major market. We don't get like tax breaks like Florida with no state income tax. We don't have, the appeal of an LA or, New York kind of thing. I mean, we've got family values. We've got family feelings with, Ashley Westwood, golf, it's the South, you know what I mean? Like it's hot, it's sweaty. We have Banks beer and soccer. Yes, we do. Sorry, I was gonna make a really cheesy joke, but yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's just money. I think it's money and sponsorship money, to be honest with you. So if you want to make it happen, Michael, start getting in those DMs of Bojangles, Cookout. Get out there. What was the? And this is going to date myself here. Remember the auto commercial from the 90s? The guy that could heal your credit problems. Apple Auto, whatever it is.
I don't know. I don't think I know this one.
Oh, you don't? Okay, you're gonna have to Google this one after the show, Corey.
Okay.
But we need to get that guy back to be a sponsor and throw money at people to get the. That was just me watching too much TV as a kid. But
no, I get that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You were from Raleigh. That was a kid. So that's why you didn't.
Yeah, let's say it was a regional thing. I didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah, it's totally a regional.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll send it to you after the show. Get him involved. That's how we get the big name players, Michael.
Yeah, and I think to You kind of touched on this, but my answer is I think the bigger issue is that we're not Miami, New York City, or LA. Like I think it's partially a money issue, but like I think more than anything, those star players, if they're gonna come play MLS, they're not gonna come to Charlotte. They're not gonna come to Salt Lake. They're not gonna come to, like that's not where they want to be. Like
Ronaldo's not going to go play in Kansas City.
no, like these players, there's more to it than the soccer for them. And sure. I don't blame them. This is not me saying it's a bad thing, but it's like they're going to want to go to a big market, a big city. Like if they're going to come to the US, that's where they're going to play. And so, yeah, like the money is part of it, but I really think like you're never going to see some of those players come to some of the smaller markets, and that's okay. Like that's just the way it is.
Can you imagine Cristiano Ronaldo going to Sporting Kansas City and being like, "Hey, man, I know you've been playing biggest places in the world. We're gonna put you in the heart of America, where it's flat as all. There's tornadoes, and there's some good barbecue ribs and stuff like that. But welcome to America. There's no beaches around you. There's no mountains around you. Nope. Good luck." Like, no, it's not going to happen.
That would actually be pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of it you can't minimize. I think that's even true of other sports. Like I think you see that with like sure. The Hornets too a little bit. Like you're a smaller market team. Like you got to do a little bit more to attract some of those players, and some of the players are just never going to want to come play in Charlotte, and that's fine.
Yep.
And so you just got to you got to look at who you're going after a little bit differently, because there are a lot of players who will fall in love with Charlotte. And it'll be great, but it's a different type of player than the Messis and that of the world that are going to want to go play for those big market, kind of flashy city teams. And that's fine.
Agreed.
Russell has, I think, 4 questions here. Thank you, Russell.
I love Russell. That's good.
We need to get Russell back on the show again. It's been too long.
It has.
What have you been doing on game days with no home games?
I went to Metallica, but that was during a game day. I don't know. Like I've been working on the little garden we have in our backyard, mowing the grass. I've been going to the pool. Our pool finally opened up in the neighborhood, so I finally passed inspection, and so I've been doing that. Been a bum just sitting out there and trying to turn into a tomato, but yeah. What about you, Corey?
We basically have the exact same answer, I think, and we're essentially the same person.
Same age, same birthday. It's fine. Everything's great.
I've been doing yard work and going to the pool. Like that's literally my exact answer.
It's a July 25th thing. Only people born on July 25th would understand. It's fine.
So yeah, I mean, that's basically it. It's been good. You mentioned Metallica, so the next question is: what can you take from the Metallica concert to bring to tailgates or games moving forward?
Can we just get Metallica to open up for the team every week? Play like Master of Puppets or Enter Sandman or One, just something. You know what I mean? Just be great.
One would be a weird like hype song.
Darkness. Yeah, just do that. That would be pretty cool though. With like have the stadium go dark and have anyways. But no, I don't know. I'm just joking around. But yeah, I mean, I will say this: the one cool thing that they had was the lights and how in sync it was, and I don't know, like if you pull up the videos of One during that breakdown that they have, the lighting in the stadium, like they had the big boards off, there was no lights on inside the stadium, the only lights were in sync was from the floor. That was really cool. I wish that'd be really cool. I guess to answer the question, Russell, and this is just gonna be really out there, let's bring mosh pits into the stadium and tailgates. Let's do that. Let's get people going around in a circle and like punching people in the face while they're stomping around. It'd be great. I need it. I was in the pit for a little bit in Metallica, by the way. I went into it for 2 seconds and then realized
moshing.
I realized very quickly I'm 36 years old and cannot do this for very long anymore. So I circled out of there real quick.
Yeah, I realized early on. So I was in a band in high school, as you do, but we were like, so I grew up in Cary, so like suburbia, basically. There were like a weird number of like metal screamo emo bands because that's what you do in the suburbs apparently. And we were not that at all. Like we were the like goofy, like
You're the Ben Folds.
yeah, like nerd rock. I guess the
Yeah.
way I would put it together. Like that's kind of where we were. We listened to a lot of Weezer.
Hell yeah, that's good.
So so like that. But like we wanted to play in like the little like, house shows or whatever random like things at the community center that got put on for like little crappy high school bands. It's like a bunch of metal kids, and I like would go to those shows and like they start moshing, and even at like 17 years old I was like, absolutely not. Like that's not it's not
That's
my
not my
scene.
life.
Has
Yeah.
never been my scene. Like I might like the music, but like I'm not about what's happening
Doing
here.
that.
I'm gonna stand at the back and let y'all do it. I'm gonna sip on my sun drop or whatever and hang out back here. So yeah, anyway,
It was awesome though to see, because there was a large varying degree of ages in that mosh. There was like 18-year-old kids going all out.
Really?
And then I thought I was old doing this, but there were some guys in there that are probably like in their late 40s or 50s in there. And I was like, dude, hell yeah, man. Keep it going, man. Like, please.
I want to be
have a heart attack. Please. I want to be you in 15 to 20 years. Do it. But it was awesome though to see that. But yeah, I mean, what that tells me though is that like, how do we get those people to be soccer fans and then get them into the stadium? Because man, like they're going all out for something like that. They're going to go all out for soccer if they got into it somehow. So that's whatever. That's just me though.
Yeah, no, I like that. I feel like there's gonna be something else I was going to say about your story about Metallica, but now I've completely forgotten it. So that's okay. Oh no, I know what it was. The light thing. I've been saying this for a little bit. I wish, especially in the summer, and I know we don't have control over this now that the Apple TV thing is all happening. I would love for our matches to start an hour later.
Yeah.
Because it's not dark when the match is starting, and like because they can they have the new lighting and the video system and all that, like they can do really cool stuff with the lights, but it's not dark.
Drones and things like that.
Yeah,
done like in the past. It's just not. You're right. That's a good.
It's not dark at the beginning of the match. Like a lot of times, eventually like halftime they can do some stuff, but like it's not really the same as like that like really building up to kickoff kind of moment. So like I would love it to be actually dark. I say this and then I have to stay up later, but I can handle it. But I do wish it was dark when we actually started the matches so that you can get some of those like really cool light effects to go along with, the opening video and the walkout and player starting lineup announcements and all those kind of fun things. So
agreed.
Let's see. You asked about Abada. I feel like we kind of talked about this, so I might skip over this one. Where will you be watching the Ajiman Reem National Showcase match, like we're calling that, against Turkey on Saturday?
I'll be at my pool if the weather permits, Russell, watching it on my phone.
After doing yard work.
Or that too, depending on the weather this weekend.
Yeah.
No, I told my wife we're gonna have a nice, with no games here. She's off of work. Very rare for us to have weekends off, so I'm gonna spend the weekend with her. So I may not watch the game live. I may watch it back, but
that's fair. That's understandable.
Yeah, it's good. It's good though. But yeah, man, it's. I get the pool vibes now as an adult. It's just go out there and melt all day. It'd be great. So
I'm just sad that I didn't get a pool membership before having kids. Like that was a real missed opportunity, because I'll see, like probably like you are, like you and your wife, like
so nice.
I'll see the childless couples that are around my age at the pool, and they're just like kicked back in the loungers and just got the cooler between them, reading a book or whatever, and I'm like, I want that.
The other day,
while I'm standing in the shallow end with both children just climbing all over me in various arrangements. Yeah,
my wife, we blew up a little floaty thing for her to lounge in, and she had her drink there in the cup holder, and she's just cruising in the pool. I'm sitting in the lounge chair up there with, like you said, my cooler, my headphones on, just roasting, and then I look over across the pool, and there's Corey reincarnated of a guy in the shallow end with 3 kids jumping on him, trying to get the watermelon ball from him, and trying to survive the day. So, I will say it's pretty nice, sir.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely fun going with kids too, but there's like a level, the perfect world is like getting to play a little bit, and then it's like, all right, y'all go play together. I'm going to go sit down and relax. But I don't get the relaxed part. They're not quite old enough for that yet.
It'll be soon though. It'll be soon.
So yeah, but I'll be at Carolina Beach watching.
Oh, nice.
If I watch the match live, that's where I'll be. We'll see.
Beach is good too, though. So that's
Carolina Beach Music Festival, man. Get ready. It's fun.
I'm realizing that's not the Outlaw one, is it? The one in Myrtle?
No. This is actually beach music, which I've realized. Have we talked about this on the show? I feel like I've told the story a lot. So if I've talked about it on the show, y'all can just ignore me. But I'm realizing how few people know what beach music is. Because it is
quickly Googling this, by the way. So
it is an incredibly Carolina specific thing. And you don't know what beach music is?
So it's a characterization of R&B, rock, pop, and Motown influences.
Yeah. So have you heard of shag dancing, David?
No, I don't know any.
Really?
Of this.
You're from
Carolina shag? Yeah, this is.
You're from here, right?
I've never heard of this. I am.
You're from somewhere around here?
I'm from Charlotte. Yeah.
So like I was telling my mom and stepdad this last weekend. Well, this is a real aside, y'all are just hanging with us at this point if you're still listening. But I was like my parents. So my stepdad grew up in Hickory, and my mom grew up in Greensboro. I grew up in Cary, like all North Carolina vibes, and so like beach music just been a part of my life like the entire time. And so I was explaining to this last weekend that like a lot of people don't know what this is. Like I'll talk about beach music and they're like the Beach Boys, and I'm like, no, it's not the Beach Boys. Like, you know, shag dancing. You're like, shagging, not that kind. So like this is the conversation I've had a lot, and so just realizing that thing. And so my mom and stepdad are cracking me up because they're like, "What do you mean they don't know? They don't know about the Tams and the Drifters." They start naming all these bands, which I know all these bands because they're beach music bands. And I'm like, no, you're saying words that people outside of Carolinas have no clue what you're talking about. So again, just fascinated by how
I'm very depressed right now because I'm looking at this and like, yeah, I'm from Charlotte. Like this says it originated from off of Ocean Drive in North Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, it's Myrtle Beach.
Like, I grew up going to Myrtle Beach every summer. I go to Myrtle Beach every 3 weeks now for work. And
I bet you know some of the songs.
I
bet if I pulled up some songs for you, you'd know some of the music. And shag dancing is basically the best way to learn how to describe it is it's swing dancing for slow Southern people. So it's a kind of East Coast swing, but it's slowed down, and the music is very Motowny. Like you'll even like you'll probably hear beach music bands play like just straight up Motown, but it's kind of like like Southern, Motown inspired stuff. So just look up the song "I Love Beach Music." That's probably the best place to start. It's the most obvious like kind of caricature of itself. These bands been doing it for like just decades, and it goes from like father to son, and like they'll keep doing it. And these like same few bands have been around for a long, long time doing beach music. So anyway, Carolina Beach, we sit on the beach listening to some beach music.
Is it at time like Myrtle Beach, or where's it at?
Carolina Beach, outside of Wilmington.
Got it. Okay, I will Google this later tonight. I
can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation in the past like 3 weeks. That's why I wasn't sure I said it on the podcast before, because I've had this exact same conversation, and every single time I'm like, I did not realize how small this world was, because it's just always been a part of my life. My college roommate, who I didn't know, was like a super Southern guy too, and so we listened to beach music all the time in the dorm. Like this was just kind of what we did.
There's dedicated radio stations for it. Like there's one in Monroe, which I lived in before moving from South Carolina. Like, I don't get it.
Check it out.
Okay. I'll check it out.
I'll send you some playlists. Make it work.
Please do. Yeah.
That's all the questions we have. You want to talk about any other genres?
I mean, we went from Metallica to beach music. It's great, man. So
yeah, this what I don't know what this says about us, that Dave was at the Metallica show and I'm going to listen to beach music. Like this is where we're at right now.
It's good. It's great. Yeah. I'm so intrigued. I'm just reading the history on this. I'm gonna go deep dive into this, but nothing else Charlotte soccer related for sure. But
no.
We might try some things later on the Discord or Patreon in the future. So just keep a lookout. Yeah. Quick plug to join our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Mint City Soccer Show. So Sammy wants to say hello and say you better join, or he's gonna bark. So
check it out and yeah, there you go. And if you're in it, give us some feedback, like some things you'd like to see us do. Again, we kind of threw the Patreon and Discord out as a bit of a trial, and let's kind of see what happens. We've loved it so far, and having this community we've built in there, and being able to chat during matches, and doing soccer and coffee when we can. So it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, we'd just love your feedback on kind of things you'd like to see us do there as part of that membership. Well, like David said, we have some ideas. We're throwing around some stuff, but obviously would love your feedback. So we're kind of figuring out what that looks like going forward. But you can find a way to join. You got to pay on the Patreon. So just a couple bucks to support us. You'll get immediate access to the Discord. Make sure to join the Discord. So you're in that and can chat. That's where we pull listener questions from. And again, we just kind of usually have a running chat going during matches, and try to do some Saturday morning soccer and coffee there too. So definitely check that out. Like I said, we are off this weekend. Everybody can get some rest away from the Charlotte FC soccer. And then we'll be back next week, hopefully with a special guest who, if you've listened to any other match or any other episode before a Philadelphia match, you'll know who that person is, assuming it works out. Hopefully we'll be back to be able to preview Philadelphia and continue this run of a little bit of a hot streak we've got going right now. Again, we've won 2 out of the last 3. Let's forget everything that happened before that. We won 2 out of the last 3.
And we're gonna make it 3 out of the next 4. That's what we're gonna do. So
there we go. I like it. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
Cool.